law rules. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. We could be recorded. Okay, at this time, we would like to know whether or not those present can hear me clearly. If not, please acknowledge that. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's start off with a roll call as far as attendance. I'll start with me. Joe Marshall here. Joan?
Joan Maderas here.
John?
John Erickson here.
Sarah?
And
No, I'm gonna go down the line. I'm sorry. Sarah, go ahead.
Here.
All right. Ann, I'm sorry.
Ann Keen here.
Okay. John?
Here.
John Coughlin's here. Ken?
Here.
Ken Fiola's here. Okay, good. First item on the agenda is the approval of the open meeting session from January 27th, 2021. Oh, that's right. Luis isn't here, is he?
No.
Yeah, record the fact that Luis is not present. Please. One item on the review of the minutes. I don't know if anybody else has anything, but jumped out at me. Under members present, Luis, it says Gonzalez. It should be Gonzalez. So under the minutes,
Oh, right.
change the name from Gonzalez to Gonzalez.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other changes or comments on the minutes of January 27th?
I want to ask a question.
That's Luis. Okay.
I corrected the minutes and I thought I sent them out around 3 o'clock today. And then I just looked recently and it looked like they didn't actually go out. I had lots of problems with my computer this afternoon. So did you? And then I just sent them a few minutes ago, which is
no,
not,
I received them at 4:47, Sarah.
And I did too, shortly after that.
that was not my intent at all. And
Okay.
I apologize for so many glitches here. So the only change that I made in them, I noted in that email, which is that I had neglected to include the vote that we took for $5,000 for the TDI partnership for the Small Business Fund.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the minutes that I sent out earlier were fine, I think.
Yeah, you highlighted that in the new minutes that you sent, just to let us know what was missing. Okay.
So we didn't pay that yet, Sarah, or we did?
What?
We did or we
Oh,
didn't?
No, we haven't actually paid that yet.
Okay. Any other comments, additions, deletions? No? Okay. So hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 27th?
Move we
Motion
approve.
to approve. Yep.
Second,
John Erickson,
John Erickson.
all right, second,
Second.
Joan Maderas. Okay, all in favor, starting with me, Joe Marshall, aye. Joan,
Joan Maderas, aye.
John?
Whatever order are you going in, Joe?
Well, I'm going in the order of the pictures I have on my screen.
Oh,
I'm not
ours-
sure.
Ours are different.
I'm just, that's all, I can't tell what's on your screen. John, are you in favor of approving the minutes? Aye?
Yeah.
Okay. Ann?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All in favor signified by saying aye. So moved. Thank you. Next item is the brief financial report, the approval of, we'll start with the approval of the warrant that we have before us. Is there any discussion of the latest warrant we received? Discussion, questions of our executive director, or a motion to accept or approve the warrants?
I move we approve the warrants of February 2021.
All right, second
second,
by Joan Maderas. Roll call vote, Joe Marshall, aye. Joan Maderas,
Joan Maderis, yes.
John Erickson,
Johnny Anderson, yes.
and Ann Keen.
Yes.
Okay. All right, hearing no nay votes, so moved. Also on we're talking about a brief financial report. We also approved at one of the past meetings, well, maybe not approved, but discussed, consider approval of a plan. Oh, let me get this out of here. The approval of a plan to hire a part-time administrative assistant for the Redevelopment Authority. Is there any open discussion relative to that? And what we would need to do, if we so choose, what we need to do is vote to approve the advertising, hiring for a part-time assistant at a rate of $15 to $20 per hour. Is there a motion? Luis is asking for the credentials, so I'm going to send those to him because I just got the ones I thought worked. So I'm forwarding those to Luis right now. Is there a motion to do that?
I move we proceed on the part-time administrative assistant hiring practice.
Okay.
Second,
Is there a second to that approval?
yes, I
Yes.
second it.
Okay, all in favor, Joe Marshall, yes. Joan Maderas,
Maderis, yes.
John,
Yeah, John Erickson, yes.
okay, and Ann?
Ann Keen, yes.
All right, so moved. And I'd like to welcome our latest member, Luis Gonzalez.
I don't know where.
Trust me, I had trouble too. I had some other stuff. So welcome, relax.
Thank you. I need to.
In fact, we changed your name, so you're good. All right. All right, the next item on the agenda is an update on the city pier project, 600 Duval Street. Go ahead. Somebody have a comment?
I'll jump in and
Oh, yeah, please.
Johnny will. So we received bids back from 6 bidders that we opened in mid-January, and we found that the bids came in higher than we had budget. And so Johnny will talk about the implications of increased steel prices, but basically because of that, we decided that we can't accept these bids and we need to reject them. And we're in the process of redesigning the railings, coming up with a different railing solution. And we expect to then put the bids for the railings out with the bids for the bid package for the whole construction project for City Pier. So that's where we are. Let me pass it to Johnny, who has some more details about that.
Yeah, so the situation is, unfortunately, right after we started the bids, steel prices went up, some shapes as high as 30%.
Oh.
So unfortunately, we got caught in that. So Sarah mentioned what we're doing right now is we're redesigning the railing to try to minimize some of these shapes that have gone up so much in price, and just streamline the design to the point that it's still aesthetically appealing, but we can save a considerable amount of money with some new design changes and value engineering that we're doing. And Eric from Beta is actively pursuing. Got to get some new sketches together and run them by Glenn Hathaway, and hopefully we can do that next week and keep the ball rolling and get some design down that we can afford and is still appealing. That's where we're at right now on the railing portion.
Okay, Sarah, are we putting together an RFP on the entire, we're putting together an RFP on the entire package, correct?
We will be. We're
Yes.
in the process of trying to reduce the cost of the whole project. And we've done some value engineering, and Johnny and I met and we worked through some minor changes that really saved a lot of money. We reduced the number of walkways that intersected the whole site. And since we did that, then Beta realized that we need to move more soil at the entrance to the city pier to make it at the same grade as Duval Street and the walkway. So they've done some other changes. So we're really in the process of finalizing those changes. Then we'll develop construction drawings and be able to go out to bid later this spring.
Do you have a tentative time for when you think that could be completed? I know we're not doing the whole thing ourselves, but do you have a tentative time or no later than July? I don't know.
We've been pushing as hard as we can to move it along. Johnny, do you have a sense of when Beta thinks we'll put the whole project out to bid?
I'm actually just reading an email that Eric just sent,
Okay,
but it doesn't say anything about time frame.
okay. Well, I'm curious because people may ask. And
I mean, I would think at least a few weeks, Joe.
oh, that's not bad. Okay. I was more concerned with a few months.
Yeah, and as Sarah mentioned, we really simplified the design of the other aspects, the walkways, the lighting. But that said, we'll still have the infrastructure if we decide in the future. And Sarah also brought up, Sarah, what do you call the vegetation that we were talking about?
There are interesting resources available through the state to look at Seaside Planting, and there are actually grants available. And I think we're talking about simplifying the landscaping so that it needs much less maintenance to really reduce the amount of lawn that would need to be mowed. So what I'm hoping to talk through with Beta and Johnny over the next week or two is planning for grass right in the front area where we expect concerts to happen, and then considering putting natural seaside grasses and rose bushes and things that just grow naturally in the South Coast, and try to plant with those because they're much less maintenance involved.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at the sketch. Does it make sense to have that much grass in the front around the circle? Because of the wear and tear and the traffic, like the pedestrians walking on it and the maintenance?
Which sketch are you looking at?
The one in the pack.
Yeah,
Yeah, the one
the
that
pack-
you sent us.
you sent it at 3:30 today.
Oh, see, you did get that package.
Why?
That's why he has a question.
Great. Well, I am so glad because I I could not see that it actually got to you. So, yeah, so let me speak to that. So, originally we had a U-shaped driveway,
Correct.
and we've simplified that and made it into that circular drive.
Mhm.
And
Good idea.
and that saved expense, and it resolved some of the issues that arose with the grading issue. So that circle would just have the kinds of things I was talking about, some rose bushes and just some seaside grasses. And that would be the case on both sides of the entrance as well.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, we would expect to have grass. And the question is how much grass to have out on the piers, or can we plant those with really ground covers and things that won't need mowing?
Right, and that was my question, because it looks like this is a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
I think, my opinion, I think the grass on the two piers going out is perfect. It's probably really pretty, but I think that the grass directly around the circle, on the, not the entrance part of the lollipop, but
Side, yeah.
the left and right of it, I think that that's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
So the thing with maintenance is, I'm a person that I don't like maintenance, because I'm just not, I can't keep up with it. But I think that maintenance, when it's not maintained, looks bad. Maintenance, when it's maintained, looks beautiful. But it's going to be someone's responsibility to make this look beautiful all the time, even in the dead of winter.
And we're going to, as the RDA, have to pay for it.
Yep.
So,
So,
we've got to
would-
really think about how to reduce the cost of the maintenance.
right.
Hmm?
Would we be able to put down a material that is that John would know more than me, but would be better used for this purpose?
Well, we did look at, synthetic material.
Grass.
The cost was, I can't remember, Sarah, but wasn't it 4 or 5 times as much?
AstroTurf or so.
Yeah,
It was,
But how does that work as far as maintenance, though? What's
there
the
isn't
maintenance going to be? No. Right. So what we have to look at is 4 or 5 times. Is that going to pay itself back in 2 years with maintenance, and then the rest of the time it's pretty? You know what I mean? Or 3 years or 4 years? I think this is a long-term project, so I think we should weigh the cost of maintenance versus the cost of material and the look of it.
well, it wasn't
Yeah.
just the cost. There were all kinds of concerns about dogs and, all the damage
Oh,
can be done to AstroTurf. And so that's why we're really exploring, looking at planting, that seaside planting that really doesn't require mowing and a lot of maintenance. Once you get things growing there, they should be able to be maintained without a lot of effort. So we're certainly looking at that, because the thought of trying to mow all of that is really out of the question.
Right.
especially if we want to have people walking on it in traffic and concerts and any type of events, it's just going to damage it and damage it and damage it.
I think, again, at the beginning of this discussion, we're talking about putting together a package that can meet the budget restraints that we have. And
Okay.
you bringing that up, Luis, that has to be a consideration. And I
All
think
right.
when we put this together, we will consider that, what you've just told us, and let you know what the additional cost would be if we had to do it a different way.
Right. We
Is that-
just do the math.
Part
Okay.
of
Thank you.
the issue there too, Luis, was in that area, we originally had a plaza with pavers. And we really had to, Ann and Sarah and I met with a few weeks ago, and cutting that out really saved a tremendous amount of money. But yeah, I mean, we do need to discuss these new renderings that he just sent.
Yeah, and the pavers would be another maintenance headache in the future as grass grows between and the joints crack and.
Well, I'll just add a little more. We've talked a lot about food trucks, and that's been something that has had a lot of interest. And so the plan right now is that in that roundabout circle there on the north side of the pier, there would be a break in the curbing, and there would be the ability for trucks to go onto the grass that would be there, and the grass would be have some textile surface under it that would create some stability. We'd use a particular kind of grass, and it would be planned for trucks to be able to go off and be in that area for those food truck nights.
Right, Luis, we'll consider that, before a decision or we vote on the entire RFP. We'll make sure that your concerns are considered in this and hopefully satisfy them. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions relative to putting out the bid? All right, hearing none, I'll be entertaining a vote to reject all the pedestrian railing bids under IFB number 21-13, which rejection is deemed in the best interest of the Fall River Redevelopment Authority. May I have a motion to reject our original request?
Motion to reject the bids.
Okay, Joan Maderas, a motion to reject. Second, please.
I second John Erickson.
Second, John Erickson. Okay, could I have a vote? Joe Marshall, yes.
Joan Maderas, yes.
John Erickson,
John Erickson, yes.
Ann Keen,
Ann Keen, yes.
and Luis Gonsalves.
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
Okay, so moved. The next item under the update of the city pier is to, we need an approval to redesign the pedestrian railings. We've discussed it briefly and include them part of the bidding process for the whole construction project. So we shut down the original RFP, we agreed, and now what we need to do is come together to include the pedestrian railings in with the entire bidding process for the construction project. Is there a motion to do that
I move we consolidate the bids.
and redesign? Okay, John Erickson,
Second,
first,
Joan Maderas.
Joan Maderas, second. Joe Marshall, all in favor, Joe Marshall, yes. Joan
Joan
Maderas,
Maderas, yes.
John Erickson,
Yes.
Ann Keen,
Ann Keen, yes.
and Luis Gonzalez.
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
All right. So moved. Thank you. At this point on the agenda, discuss the revised master plan design and next steps as we prepare to put the city pier project out to bid. We've discussed that a little bit right now. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Sarah.
Sarah's muted.
You've been muted, Sarah.
All right.
Okay.
I'd like Johnny to speak to the issue of the steel prices increasing and the work he's been doing on redesigning the railings.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, use less steel in the design and also tandemed with the cutting down the amount of walkways. And I believe we cut out scores of lights actually with all the, because Eric had paths going all over the place. And we cut out quite a few lights because they were expensive line item. But the silver lining is that we will have the conduit underground, the electric. So if we do decide to add more walkways later, if we see that people are walking across, like Ann had mentioned, lots of times with parks, they do an initial installation, and then you see how the people use it. And sometimes you end up adding in natural walkways that people will take, and we can always add in more walkways. We can always add in more lights. We can always add in some of the decking that we valued engineered out in the future. So we're just trying to streamline this and as I mentioned earlier, make it as simple and as inexpensive as we can.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with steel prices. It's very
No,
unpredictable.
I know.
But we'll just have to roll with the punches on it.
All right. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Thanks, John. Next item on the agenda is our executive director's report. So Sarah, why don't you take it from there?
Sure. So the good news is that Maggie at DHCD has gotten back to us and told us that our request for an amendment for the downtown urban renewal plan has been approved. And so we're now set to go ahead and work with the developer who's interested in purchasing the armory.
Can I stop you there just a second, Sarah? John Coughlin, what's our next process? What's the next thing now that we have the letter?
So I think at this point, we need to begin negotiations of the land disposition agreement with the proposed developer.
Okay,
So whether it's going to be me and Sarah taking the first shot at it, whether there's some members of the board that want to work on that, but that's the next step is to begin that negotiation of the deal.
okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Sarah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm glad you did that. Then I wanted to just let you know that yearly, the Redevelopment Authority has to submit a report to DHCD. And it involves really just describing your urban renewal activities for the previous year and your what you've spent on those activities. So I'm preparing that. I've connected with Maggie and we'll be submitting that for April 1st. And then I also sent out to you the plan that I mentioned that I had asked VHB, our engineering firm who had worked with us in the past regarding Innovation Way and the technology park. And she developed a map that shows the properties that we have for sale and where the wetlands are. And we may want them to add some more details in terms of where buildings really would fit. But she's taken it to a point where at least we have a plan with all of the properties we have for sale that kind of shows them in context.
Oh, good. Yeah, 'cause
And
I remember that was a request we had. We wanted to know where we were. Thanks.
yeah, last meeting, I sent you a number of maps and plans, but they weren't really organized in a way that you could exactly see where all that property was. So this plan will be useful, I think, as we continue to sell the properties.
Thank you.
And then over March, a key priority will be to work with the City of Fall River and other departments to decide how the RDA and the city want to apply for new funding that's available through the Community One Stop for Growth funding round. So the grant writer for the city has attended webinars on this, and I have, and I expect to be talking with Ken and with Mike Dion and others who also may want to apply for funds for the city. I've been talking with Ken about applying for funds possibly for some of the future work we need to do on the Anawan Street project possibly for planning some of the work along Route 70, as Route 79 is redesigned and that 16-acre parcel is developed, it may make sense to apply for funds through this program to do a master plan for that. So we're really looking at what should we apply for, and I'll definitely be updating you at the next meeting what we're thinking about, and I may be calling on you to run some ideas by one or two of you.
Thank you.
So I think that's my report this time.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept, I'm sorry, the executive director's report by anyone?
Oh. Yes, so move.
Joan Madeira, so move. Second,
Second, Johnny Erickson.
John Erickson. All in favor, Joe Marshall, yes. Joan
Joan
Madeira,
Madeira, yes.
Johnny Erickson,
John
yes.
Erickson,
And Keen, yes.
and King, yes.
Louis
Luis,
Gonzalez, yes.
okay, so moved, thank you. Okay, next item, discuss project plans with our administrative service consultant. Ken, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. I can just barely see you down there. Well, Ken Fiola, Bristol County Economic Development Consultants. One of the items that has been brought up, we've got a lot of things on our plate, and you know, we're trying to streamline things, get as much information as possible to all members of the board. And I somewhat decided that we need to create subcommittees where two members of the board can be responsible for information and working with the proper people associated with the project, and then include us, the rest of the board, as needed at one of these meetings. And there may be times when a open meeting may be necessary, but at this point, I think spreading the responsibility a lot will, some will allow us to get closer to getting some of these projects done. So what I would like to do, one of the subcommittees I'm looking at, is to implement on the urban renewal plan for the waterfront and master plan for the Anawan Street project. And I would like Ann Keen and Johnny Erickson to be part of that, if they wouldn't mind. So before we do that, though, I would need to, I'd like a vote to confirm that. Once, as long as I know you two will accept, we'd like to entertain a vote to create a subcommittee to work on those projects. Are you okay with that, Ann?
Yep, I'm okay.
Okay, John?
Good.
Okay, so I'd entertain a vote to create a subcommittee to work on the waterfront urban renewal plan, including the Anawan Street and City Pier projects, and to have John Erickson and Ann Keen head that subcommittee. All in favor? Joe Marshall, yes.
Joan Madeira, yes.
Johnny Erickson, yes.
Ann
And Keen, yes.
and Luis Gonzalez?
Yes, Louis Gonzalez, yes.
Okay, so moved. You got that, Sarah?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The next item for subcommittees is to create a board subcommittee to develop a urban renewal plan for the Flint neighborhood, which all of a sudden we're picking up on. And for that subcommittee, I would ask Luis Gonzalez and Joan Madeira to serve on that subcommittee. Louis, are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Joan?
Yes,
Yes.
that's
okay.
fine.
All right, so I would entertain a vote to create that subcommittee to work on the urban renewal plan for the Flint neighborhood, including Luis Gonzalez and Joan Madeira as part of that subcommittee. All in favor, I say aye. Joan Madeira,
Aye, yes.
John,
Yes.
and Ann,
Yes.
and Louis?
Yes,
Okay, so moved. Now, I want you to understand, these are these are only two of the projects. We got a lot of other things going on. Well, we will have a lot of other things, I hope, going on. And as they're warranted, we'll also bring back, put together probably another subcommittee. There's other projects in the city that we're still part of. But those two are the more recent and the ones that need the attention presently. I guess, Ken, you're probably the best at this than anybody on the screen as an update on the Route 79 project.
Sure. Thank you, Joe, and good evening. So as the board may be aware, Joe, myself, the mayor, Frank Macchione, and Sarah had a Zoom call back, I think it was the end of December, early January, with the Lieutenant Governor and her staff as it pertained to a bunch of things, but in particular, Route 79 was a discussion point. And at that point, at that meeting, we indicated to her that we were a little bit concerned with the time frame and the progress being made to date on the project. And she pledged to become an active participant in moving the project along and assigning staff to to the situation so that we could get answers to some of the questions that we had. So this pertains primarily to the creation of the new 16 acres that'll be created as a result of eliminating the upper levels of Route 79, bringing everything down to grade level, reducing 8 lanes of traffic to 4 lanes of traffic, and opening up this acreage for development, which we, a couple of years ago, had projected that would be able to accommodate about 1 million square feet of development for residential, commercial, office, and retail. Really create a whole new neighborhood along the waterfront. Open the waterfront from a public standpoint in terms of having more at-grade crossings from various points throughout North Main Street to the waterfront. Right now, the only at-grade crossing you have is President Avenue. So there would be additional at-grade crossings and there would be additional land for development. So we've been back and forth with them a number of times on some different information. Most notably, we received some information from them I believe it was last week. And we've been asking for a few things. South Coast Rail will be an important component of this overall waterfront URP and overall development plan. Right now, you see work that's taking place on a commuter rail platform that's on DeVal and Pierce Streets. You can see if you go by there's a lot of construction activity taking place. There was just recently a large hole that was constructed, and now there's a tank being placed in a hole, and that's going to be an underground detention basin for stormwater runoff. We have been trying to make sure that we have enough parking at that location for the commuter rail. Right now, their parking lot only allows for 240 spaces. We think that may be low, and we're seeing if we can't increase that somehow. If you look at other commuter rail platforms that have opened up over the last 4 or 5 years, you'll see that in each case, they've underestimated the amount of parking that was necessary. And when there's not enough parking, people become frustrated. They park in areas that they're not supposed to park in. And it really, starts to cast a black eye on the whole commuter rail program. A couple of years ago, the legislature appropriated $1 million, or I think it's like closer to $2 million for a parking garage at that location. So we've asked for a complete study of their parking analysis for the DeVal Street station so that we can take a firsthand look as to what they're projecting their parking demand on. And then we're also requesting that they pursue the release of that $1 million to $2 million bond so that we could at least begin the design and maybe initial construction of a parking deck that could be expandable as demand requires. So even if we just get a parking deck,
Yeah.
that can do 1 or 2 levels. We would actually have it designed to accommodate 3 or 4 levels. Now, the parking would, be it's particularly important to people that are going on a commuter rail, but it's going to be also equally important to the overall design and functionality of that 16-acre parcel. Because parking, as you know, along the waterfront right now is in great demand, and it's going to become in greater demand as we develop down there. So the parking garage could serve 2 purposes. So we're waiting for them to get back to us on that particular issue, and we're hoping, to have that shortly. I've been keeping Sarah and Joe involved in the emails that are going back and forth, so they have a full understanding of where we stand on that as well in current time. With regard to the actual Route 79 project, there's a couple of good things that we've been able to ascertain. That the Commonwealth share of the overall cost of Route 79 is fully committed for use in fiscal years 2023 through 2026. That share, which is higher than I anticipated, was about $100 million.
Mhm.
I don't think the project is going to be that much, but that's what they're have at least earmarked for the project.
That's good.
There's a point in the email that I received from them that says that there's also a federal share that's also part of this. So I've asked for further clarification as to 2 things. What is the cost of the federal share? And also what the time frame is to secure that if it hasn't already been secured. So we're hoping to get some answers on that.
So
The project-
Ken, you're suggesting the state is committed to the 100 million, but that doesn't count if there is a federal contribution.
That's what I'm unclear about. That's the
Okay.
point of clarification that I want to see if we can have them clarify for us.
All right, good.
That 100, my understanding to this project all along is that it's been 80 million from the state. From the state, maybe the extra 20 million is a federal share,
Right.
and that's how we get to the 100 million.
Yes,
But we're going to get some clarification on that.
all right, good.
Okay. Right now, in terms of where we are, they're looking to actually issue a design build procurement contract bid in February of 2022, and that they will then move forward with the bid and get somebody on board no later than the end of the calendar year of December of 2022, with construction beginning in 2023. But we don't have a definitive, so actually the contract will be awarded by the end of December 2022.
Mhm.
But what we don't have at this point is a definitive start date, because this is a 25% design build, which means that the state will do 25% of the design, put it out to bid, and then the contractor will be selected, and then he'll finish off, he or she will finish off design and permitting. But that doesn't necessarily mean that construction is going to begin immediately after December 2022.
Correct.
So I'm trying to get a more definitive date as to when the overall construction will begin and the time frame upon which construction will be completed. Because right now we're in 2021. This is going to come upon us quickly.
Yeah.
The commuter rail is going to be functional in 2023. At the same time, construction theoretically may be beginning on the Route 79 project itself. So we're just in the process of getting all these issues clarified, holding their feet to the fire a little bit in terms of definitive time schedules,
Good.
Making sure that we're doing our part at the local level to stay on top of these things and hold them accountable. And like I said earlier, the Lieutenant Governor has been right on top of this. Her administrative assistant, Jessica Belleville, is in constant communication with me, just saying that this remains a priority for the governor and lieutenant governor, and they're going to work to get the answers that we need. So I think that's all good news, and that's going to, really be, a huge project for the Redevelopment Authority. And then the other biggest issue is that we need to identify at some point is how the Redevelopment Authority is going to garner control of that 16 acres that's going to be created as a result of this. so that, one, we have the ability to master plan it, and two, it will be part of the urban renewal plan, and we will have the ability to enter into direct discussions with a master developer as opposed to having to go out for public bid for the disposal of the parcels that would be created for development. So there's a lot of moving pieces, there's a lot of technicalities associated with it. It's a big dollar project. It's a big commitment by the state to the city, along with the commuter rail project and some of the other projects that they've committed to, such as the elimination of the spaghetti ramps along the waterfront. But, this will be, once we get this land ready for development and it becomes developable, you'll see a new transit-oriented district community created down there because it'll be within close walking distance to the commuter rail. And so long as we develop it appropriately, it really could become the most vibrant portion of Fall River in terms of, entertainment, recreational, living, and dining experiences. So this is a big deal.
It is. And we're getting closer to it every day, which is. great.
Yeah.
Any questions of Ken?
Ken, Ken, the last Zoom meeting that I sat in on, which was, I think it was back in the fall, they were talking about like two different schemes. I thought they had it down to two. I want to say like 7A and 7B.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are they to the point where they decided actually which scheme they're going to use? Are they?
Yeah. I forget which. Yeah, they did break it down. I forget which. It might be 7B. But we
10 acres and 116. Am I remembering that correctly?
The scheme that was selected increased the acreage from 14 to 16.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the one we selected. We made a further refinement to the plan back in November. So just to make it more streamlined and give us a bigger developable parcel directly across the street from the city pier. So those two parcels can function coherently between each other. But it's like anytime you make a small, I thought it was a minor change.
Yeah.
It turned into a 90-day change because they got to amend the contract of the designer, they got to do additional study. And every time you do something like that, it gives them the ability to delay something a little bit. And that's where we were getting frustrated because we didn't think it was a big deal. And that's why, we intervened with Lieutenant Governor to help us move this thing along.
Thank you. You okay, John?
Good. Thank
Yep.
you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
Also, it's been brought to my attention, we go along and we talk about these and we know the answers, but we also have to recognize the fact that the general public, this is a public meeting and the general public sometimes signs on. And we'll use abbreviations many times, which they're not in a position to really ask questions. What does that mean? I wrote down a few. The URP is the Urban Renewal Plan. I mean, we got to mention that at least once or twice, especially if we're taking a vote on it. And another item is DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development. Again, an abbreviation, we're accustomed to using those there, and I'm reading them right off of the agenda, so it's up to me too. And I think you mentioned, Sarah, VRB, that's the firm. What's that? You're muted again. Wow.
It's VHB.
Yeah, VHB, I'm sorry. What is that?
That's the engineering firm that, yes.
Okay. All right. So we just have to, I have to, I guess, be more sensitive to the public listening and use those, at least once or twice in a vote, so it does get out there. So I thank you for your cooperation. I thank you, Ken, for that report. The next item is to vote to enter into executive session and not return to the open meeting. As I feel that finding, I make a finding that an open session would have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body. So that being said, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session.
And Joe, I would just read out the two reasons we're
Items?
going into
Oh,
executive
and the
session.
reason we are, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, just those two, the two approve and review and then to
Right,
discuss.
okay, I will read those as they're here. To approve and or review executive session minutes from January 27th meeting pursuant to Mass General Law 30A, 21A7, and 22G. Is there, I'd like to get a vote to approve the executive, oh, that's later. And the next item is to discuss real estate proposal and offer for 122 acres on Innovation Way, Fall River and Freetown, Mass, again pursuant to Mass General Law 30A-21A6. So is there a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of those discussion of those two items?
So
And
move as
not to
proposed.
return to open session.
And I said that at the beginning, and not to return to open session. Joan,
So move to enter into executive session.
okay, second,
A second, Johnny Erickson.
John Erickson, okay. All in favor, Joe Marshall, yes.
Joan Maderis, yes.
John,
Johnny Erickson, yes.
Ann,
Ann Keen, yes.
and Luis,
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
okay, so moved. Why don't we go into executive session?